What is good? What's good, bro? How are you? It's Monday.
It is Monday, and I'm drinking out of the new Creative Herd mug.
Soon.
Oh, I almost just spilt it.
We'll
Wow.
release some information about the new mugs.
We're testing. We
Soon.
got to do some QC, some quality control before we get it out in the public, you know?
Exactly.
Can't just release a shitty product.
But just know we are working on that merch, daddy. So, I am merch daddy. I feel like I'm a merch whore. Like, I like someone, I'm like, yeah, I'll wear their hat. I'll buy their tote bag, add it to my fucking collection of 30 of them.
You got to retire them. I think you need to know when to retire them.
Yeah, that's fair. Although I have issues. I'm not a hoarder, but I just hold too much sentimental value to shit. Like, I'll have like a t-shirt that I've been holding on for 12 years that I haven't worn in 4, but I'm like,
Yep.
but I wore it when I was at this place and it just, you know?
I have that. I literally just I have a stack of t-shirts of what you're saying right now. I'm like, you know what? It's time. It's time. I got to bring it to some Goodwill vibes.
You gotta wash your hands clean sometimes, man.
Yeah.
Gotta wash your hands.
The good memories will still there.
Mm-hmm. But new memories? Anything new exciting? What's going on with you? You wrapping any cool projects?
Big push this month, so it's really exciting to get to I'm going to get some time off in September, so I'm looking forward to that.
Ooh, little vacay vibes. Where you going? Northern Ontario?
I don't know. Maybe just going to sit in my house and not work. No plans yet.
That's exciting.
What about you?
No. Just a lot of client work, really. I mean, I'm still working on our projects that we have, are part of our accountability program. So I've been working on my YouTube video, and I'm pretty pumped on it so far. I have to shoot the A-roll later today, so that's kind of cool. And I don't really want to spend the rest of my time talking about client work because they don't deserve to absorb any more residency in my mind outside of work hours. You feel
Yeah.
me?
One thing I want to note quickly is that there's currently like a lot of rain, big downpour happening. So if you hear something weird going on, that is the rain.
It's just the rain.
I had an interesting question at work today. Sometimes we have like newsletter. There's a newsletter that goes out every Monday, and people can like reply with questions and stuff in like in a question form. So one of the ones was today, if you're living in a small space, it was a bunch of and/ors, and essentially it was like, if you're working and living on your laptop, like what are some ways that you kind of like deflect work after hours from like, okay, I'm doing client work and now I'm going to surf on Amazon for myself or like watch YouTube and like not combine the two. Does that make sense?
And how do you do it though?
It was just, I was like, oh, that's a good question. I don't know, like, because it's bad to just be surfing at the both time.
Yeah, because you are a YouTube whore, honestly.
Yeah, I'm like mid render, and I'm just like, well, pop open a YouTube video quick.
I know, and I try not to do that. I feel like because I live with my partner, it's a little bit easier for me to just, instead of like hop on a YouTube video, I'm like, babe, what's going on?
Yeah.
What you doing? Come hang out with me.
For 6 minutes while something renders or exports.
Exactly. So, but also, now that I have a studio and office space to work out of, it's really easy now for me to separate my life from work at home and whatnot. But I still definitely get distracted at the office. And when I am waiting for like rendering time to separate it, the coffee's on like the 4th floor. So I get to go walk around and like grab myself a coffee. Even if I don't really need it, I'll just do like a pump, maybe 2 pumps. And that for me is a nice way to like separate myself from doing work things. But for you, since you're working from home, what are you doing?
I think the biggest thing, I guess, is just a different space. Even if you're in the same room, it's like just have a different, like sit on a more of a desk vibe for your clients. And when you have you time, sit on your bed and be on your laptop. Like just make an actual switch so your brain starts to be like, okay, we're sitting on our bed. We just get to do whatever and watch Netflix or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's definitely a space thing.
Yeah, and it helps that your space is actually quite big. For a Toronto apartment, you actually have quite a nice, large, spacious place that you can kind of separate in different rooms. Like the fact that you have an office and an upstairs bedroom and a living room and a kitchen. It's pretty sick.
And a kitchen.
And a kitchen. And laundry en suite. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. And you're not breaking the bank for it. So good for you. I have a question for you now.
Hit me.
Now you're back on the Insta, but it's that burner thing. So no one's going to find Spenny T on Spencer's dog just ran away because there's thunder outside. Now that you're back on the Insta and you're doing some creative work. You're actually putting on some really nice videos, and you don't really caring about who sees them or like the amount of people that watch them. You're just enjoying the process of making things. So I want to ask what your relationship right now with social media is, now that you are kind of not indulging yourself back into it, but you're kind of floating in the online space.
Right. Yeah, that's a good description. Sorry. I literally just watched Winston just looked at me like, did you hear that thunder? And then got into the bathtub. Like, that's a safe place. Yeah, floating is like such a great word for it. And I think I'm just trying to like not care, not give any real effort behind it to be like, oh, I worked really hard on this, so now it needs to get X amount of views for me to feel okay about making it, versus just like, oh, I like these 3 clips, I'm gonna make a reel.
Sick.
And that's pretty much,
Well, what's your consumption been like though?
I think the time away from it definitely helps me not like get back to it, but I still get sucked in. Like if I'm opening it and like scrolling through Instagram stories or reels, it's so easy to just blow half an hour.
So easy. So especially when like there's times where I find like a good audio bite and I click into the audio bite and then
you watch the other ones.
I start seeing them like, oh, that was cool. Oh, that was a cool take. Oh, I should make something like this. So yeah, it's good that you still have like that separation from it, and that you kind of can stop yourself from getting too far with consuming the videos. But I imagine, though, there has to be a part of you that now that you're seeing other content out in the world, it must be triggering a little bit of inspiration, though. Just like a tiny bit.
Yeah, like what you're saying, listening to the songs and stuff like that. When I left, that wasn't really a thing yet.
There wasn't music on. I don't even think there was really Instagram Reels when you left. I think it just rolled out and people were still being like, this is just TikTok.
So that part has been like pretty inspiring, because like for me, I do really love short form stuff, but it's like, okay, now make it non-cringy and add a little bit of, not like cinematic, I wouldn't call it cinematic, but it's not the funny, fail videos that sometimes people post.
Those are fire though.
It's like, yeah.
Somewhere
in between.
It's good to mix those in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't lie to you. There are times where I hear a soundbite and I think of a concept just from that soundbite alone. And we're not talking like, oh, it's a great song, I want to use that for a piece. There's like TikTok trends or Instagram Reel trends where there are audio bites of someone having a conversation with someone, and then they capitalize on it being, maybe it's like, que live the way you want to live, and it's just rich people traveling and jumping off mountains and into fucking water and spending all this money that like I don't understand how they have and how they're doing that right now. But whatever, admirable enough. But the other day I stumbled across one.
Wait, how does that happen? Who's making these?
What?
Are they getting paid to make these?
No, man, people are just fucking.
Can I make one?
Yes, dude. It's called original audio. Like when you just upload it, you can title your own audio, be like, oh, like you just name it whatever. It's in the upload page for Instagram Reels.
Okay.
And then
interesting.
If people like it, people just start using that. It doesn't even matter if it's a real song and you just, I know that sounds shitty, kind of hacky, but if you just retitle it to original audio with like a name on it that you choose, people can just use that and it could blow up that way. It's so silly. Anyways, back to my point. I'll explain that to you later, how to do that.
Okay, yeah, back to your thing.
Okay, I found one the other day. It didn't make me want to create anything per se, but it stopped me in my tracks. I need to like listen to it over and over again, and I had to share it with you, and I instantly thought about talking about it on the pod today because it kind of embodies a lot of things that we often talk about as the beginnings of a creator and what it's like to just live in this space. And basically they were talking about that saying about a jack of all trades but a master of none. Everyone has heard that.
Hundreds of millions of times.
Jack of all trades, a master of none. But there's this TikTok audio that's going viral right now where it's a woman having a conversation with a man saying, like, I hate how people use that saying. They're using it incorrectly because there's more to it. And the male voice goes, oh, yeah? What is it? And it's somewhere along the lines of a jack of all trades, a master of none. But being good at some is better than being a master of none.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Was that clear? I don't know if I said that correctly. Let me try it again. Let me say it with chest. Hold on.
No, dude, that makes sense. Yeah, if you're just a master of one thing, it's often not as good as being, a jack of all trades.
That saying originally, before it was chopped in half, was meant to be a compliment. It was meant to encourage people to try different things, to be good at different things, and not just bottleneck yourself into one kind of skill, one kind of trait. It's encouraging people to learn more and to dive themselves into other things, so there is so much more room for growth. And yeah, it's actually a fucking shame that we've grown up thinking that saying stopped there. And there are so many times in my life where I've ridiculed myself for trying to do too many different things, and people using that saying back at me. They weaponized that saying, and it made me feel bad for not putting all of my focus just on one single thing. So I thought that was really interesting. I had to share that with you.
I think it's just the wording, maybe, like jack of all trades. Like, I don't know why the word jack.
Why Jack? Why not Spence? A Spence of all trades.
Like, for some reason, like, yeah, when you break it apart, it's like almost like a negative connotation to it, to be like, you're just a jack of all trades. But it's like, no, that's sick.
That's sick to be good at so many
to a certain
things.
extent. And I think our society looks at it now that you're like, and maybe this is just my own personal view on it, now that I hear it and the way I was raised, is that you do too many things. And I think that's maybe how most people were raised, to listen to that phrase, to be like jack of all trades. And it's just like, oh, that person does too many things, so we can't label them on anything. Like they are a master of, and I think that's where, the whole thing is. They're a master of nothing. They do everything. So they'll never be good at one thing. Right. But they'll be mediocre at a bunch of things.
But who said their mediocrity is even in the equation? Like, you know what I'm saying? When people use that saying, they weaponize that saying, it immediately makes us think that they're referring to someone being mediocre.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I'm like...
Which is like that makes no sense, because if I'm being fucking honest, bro.
Be honest, man.
Let me be honest. I'm going to be honest. I'm not a master of anything. Like, I feel genuinely far from being a master of anything.
Okay, well...
I'm good at a bunch of things, yo. I'm good at boxing. I feel like I'm a good photographer. I feel like I'm a good filmmaker. Editing I could be better at.
So you're saying that are you getting at that you're a jack of all trades right now?
What I'm trying to say, I'm a Nolan of all trades, bro. I'm saying that for the longest time, I was beating myself up over the fact that I couldn't just put all of my attention onto one thing. And I couldn't ever be the artist that would lock themselves in a room for 8 hours and just paint or just draw or have their camera on them at all fucking times, no matter where they're going. And they're always taking pictures, always editing, always just working on their craft. I've ridiculed myself for honestly my entire life for not being able to do that. Not punching enough on the bag, not fucking running enough kilometers for this marathon. All the things is that I always feel like I'm never doing enough. And I have a hard time kind of glorifying that I am a very diverse person. And I'm very diverse in my skill set. I can offer photo, I can offer video, and it's not just offering it. I can actually offer it at a very high level. But the caveat, I'm not a master.
Yeah, I think social media definitely hurts on that side, because you see way more people like that look like that's all they do. They're 8 hours a day walking around with their camera, like hunting for the perfect photo, chasing sunsets, coming home, editing it, posting it, doing the same thing. And I think it's okay to a certain point, just like do things when you feel like it. It's like, I don't feel inspired. Cool. Don't feel inspired. Do something that you want to do. Go for a run if you don't feel like taking photos. Like that's the helpful side of like having different interests, I guess. But I think there's like two schools of thought for my brain. Is you have to know.
Are they hot takes?
No.
Okay.
I wish they were hot takes. But you have to know like where your kind of cup or energy ends. Because if you're doing too many things, then you become mediocre at all of them, right? If you're overextending yourself versus like, I have 100% and I'm aware that I'm putting 30 here, 30 here, 30 here, whatever, you know, until the 100 versus just dishing energy you don't have.
Interesting.
Does that kind of make sense?
It does, yeah. You had a second train of thought, though.
Those were the two.
Oh, you combined them.
Yeah. So it's like one, you're doing it in like a healthy way and not overextending yourself, and then one, you're overextending yourself and just being like, oh, I like this. Oh, I like this. Oh, I like this. And then that's the real definition of like the mediocrity thing of like, you're good at a ton of stuff, but you're very mediocre at all of them, you know, in the grand scheme of things.
Off camera, we were discussing this a little bit, and you actually had a good example about your recent transition into a new editing software. For everyone who doesn't know, or haven't heard yet, Spenny T has left Adobe and has joined fucking DaVinci. He's a DaVinci man now. But he was saying that if he had miraculously had some crazy interest in becoming a baker, and while he was making that transition, and he focused more time on being the baker, and because it's an interest of his, there's no way he could have transitioned as quickly as he did to DaVinci and now still editing at a very high caliber so quickly. So there is that caveat of when you are dispersing your interest, no, it's not a bad thing. Like, it's good to be diverse and it's good to offer a handful of things, but you know, the rate that you will exceed at something will be inherently so much quicker if your attention is completely on it.
Yeah, that's just something that it's like something that you just have to know and be okay with for that, because it's like sometimes you will just be happier if you're not fully focused on one thing. Like if you're just focused on something for 8 hours a day, like you're saying, it's like, it's a good way to fucking burn out.
Yeah.
But if you're really passionate about it, yeah, sometimes you can fall into the zone and like everything falls away and you can just 8 hours go like that. Because for sure, like that saying is 100% true that like whatever you focus your attention to will grow. Like no doubt about that. So it's just the level of like, you have to be totally aware that if you're doing 3 things and you're only giving like 20% to each of those things, it's definitely not the same as like giving 100 or 80% of your time.
And we were talking about this last podcast too. It's now related we unintentionally related our 2 podcasts.
Oh shit.
But when it happens in real time, being a jack of all trades, say you offer a service where you're like, I'll do photos and video for the same client at the same time at the same fucking event. Cool. You're sick, bro, for being able to offer all of them. Like that's great. Sure. But now you have completely compromise the percentage of effort that you were able to spend on one thing because you're focused and splitting your attention on other things all at the same time. So, you know, there is a catch-22 with it. You have to take this saying with a grain of salt and showing how diverse you are with your skill set and your portfolio.
That's exactly my point for sure.
Word. So there are, when I think of some of the great legends of cinema, the auteurs. Do you know what auteurship is? It's film school 101. Not film production, film studies.
I don't
it's
know
where my
that.
degree is in film studies, and cinema and media analysis actually is what it was called. So
tell me. Tell the audience.
Auteurship, clearly a French word. It refers to the authorship of the director, producer, filmmaker, cinematographer, whatever it is. It's basically seeing their style, their attachment style in every single piece of their work. So, for example, Quentin Tarantino, often shot on film. It's very dark. It's satirical. It's very edgy. Guy loves a good yellow subtitle. Loves a good yellow title.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Big facts.
He also has no fear about pushing boundaries on what is socially correct or incorrect.
True.
You know? Those are all characteristics that, and when you see a film, you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
That's Quentin Tarantino.
Right.
Wes Anderson's another great example. All of his films are symmetrical. They're very colorful. They're very vibrant. Every single film is in the same kind of vein. You can just tell aesthetically that this is a Wes Anderson film.
Yeah. It's like all like center frame and shit. It's like you could look at any one frame from these people and know exactly who it is.
Exactly. So those guys they're masters. Master class filmmakers. Obviously, they've made a name for themselves. They're legends. And what they do is immaculate. I'm not saying that they bottleneck themselves into a style, but they definitely have created this image that is now always expected from them.
Mm-hmm.
They've created this aesthetic that if they were to break from it, it would seem off-putting. It would also seem a different kind of take on their own other work, and people may view it as something that is inferior or a little too off the beaten path. It's like when your favorite artist is like, we're gonna make a different style of music, and you're like, fuck. Like when Mumford & Sons dropped the banjo and they made a rock album. Sucked. It
does happen, but I'm always for it. But when something like that happens, it's like, well, not gonna listen to that one.
Not a big fan. So they obviously mastered the craft and their style. They have a cinematic style. They are authors. They've mastered authorship.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a massive list of them. But there's also some people who have really excelled and have done a fucking load of different styles of genres of films, different themes. Like, so one that I heard on a podcast recently, which was on Smart List, that one with who's that Canadian guy? He speaks like this.
Who's that Canadian guy?
Will Arnett. Thank you. Dude, thanks, man. BoJack Horseman. Yeah, thanks.
BoJack Horseman's a sick show.
Jason Bateman, the king of the dry comedy. And Sean...
Desmond.
Nope. You just say Sean Desmond? Yeah, shout out to Sean Desmond. He's a Toronto legend. No, the guy from Will and Grace. Sean fucking... Anyways, Sean. He's from Will and Grace. You know him. Anyways, they had... recently, they had Sean Levy on there. Sean Levy? Do you know who Sean Levy is?
I do not.
So, director, producer, has his own production company, and they're behind several movies. But the beginning of his career, it was comedy. He just made comedy films. Right?
Cool.
Comedy films are already hard enough to make, especially now. I feel like comedy is kind of canceled, and people aren't really fucking following it enough in theaters. So that's why you're not really seeing comedy films in the theater.
No one wants to laugh at something that's funny
and get canceled for it or get in trouble by their partner. Yeah. Can you relate?
Roasted.
Boom, roasted. Started in comedy, but then he dipped his toe into like indie films, which is cool. And then he dipped himself into horror. And then he dipped himself into music videos. And then he dipped himself into Stranger Things. He has directed for every season. He's directed, I think, 4 episodes out of every season. So he partnered up with the Duffer Brothers.
Wow.
So Stranger Things, it's a horror. It's a horror show. And it's done immaculately.
It's like a thriller.
It's a thriller, horror, comedy.
Interchangeable.
It's very interchangeable, but it's immaculately done. It's one of the best series of all time, hands up, right? He's had his hands in that, very much so. He's had his hands in like Nights at the Museum. He was a producer of Arrival, which is an award-winning Denis Villeneuve film. Also an excellent film. He also produced or helped produce All Too Well, the Taylor Swift music video that the internet fucking blew up. You know, the one that was like 15 minutes long? No, Dylan O'Brien.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. My boy Dylan.
Huh? And he had a handful of comedies that did super well. And so I'm using him as an example that he started in comedy, but he made the effort and choice to try and different avenues of filmmaking. And he refined his skill set, not in just one style, but the more he was learning from other styles of film, whether it be horror, thriller, comedy, drama, he was taking a slice of information from every single one of them and added it to his skill set. And now he's at the point where he offers himself as an excellent filmmaker, excellent director, excellent producer. He knows what's going to work because he has surrounded himself in all these different fields of cinema. And I think that's just a great example. You may not hear his name, may not put his name beside the Quentin Tarantinos, the Wes Andersons, the Denis Villeneuves, but he is clearly a master of what he's done in his career. And I think he's a great example of being a jack of all trades and not being a master of just one.
Mm-hmm. I will say, I have a few thoughts on that. Like, one, you have to define what success is for yourself.
Of course.
And if your goal isn't to be a household name, which I don't like, that's not my goal. Like, it would make me much more happy to be somebody like that who has more knowledge versus like developing their style to be like a household name making films.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say he has focus still.
You have to.
And only because he is not baking, dude. Like, if you really break it down as you're saying it, it's just like, oh, he's still in film. He's not like, oh, I'm going to go to the lighting department and I'm going to be a grip now and I'm going to gaffer. It's like, yeah, sure. He's like he's still in his field and like picking lanes very specifically for specific reasons. And that's like kind of the focus of like, and maybe the best way to use this of like the jack of all trades thing. For me specifically, like I'm an editor, like a lot of people, but I have different skill sets from other editors. Some people have no idea what After Effects are, and like, yeah, but like, and it same thing. We can both edit, but I can't jump into Lightroom the same way you can jump into the Lightroom versus me jumping into After Effects versus you jumping into After Effects.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, they're not the same, like they're the same field, but different takes on it.
For sure.
So it's not like he's completely like, oh yeah, I also have like a Grammy-winning album or some shit like that.
Tell me that would be kind of sick.
I'm sure there's somebody out there who has like their hands in different shit, but I'm just saying it's still like, there's still focus, and he's still building the trust to his name versus spending his time elsewhere, being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna work on shoes on the side.
I think that's an excellent point, to make sure that you veer from mediocrity. The thing that's going to make you stand out and be excellent at the things of your trades is by focusing, working hard, dedicating your time intentionally, and staying within your field at least, or like you can have other interests, but like let hobbies be hobbies.
Yeah.
Have things outside of work. Even if you want to grow in other areas, make sure you identify that personally as a thing that you just enjoy doing for fun, because there needs to be an aspect of fun in your life, especially as an adult, because we forget how to do that.
With zero pressure.
Zero pressure.
One thing too, I think we chatted on this like maybe a couple of weeks ago, that this kind of brought up, but it's like, if some guy named Kanye West that doesn't make any music, just came out of nowhere, buy these fucking Yeezys. Would you buy Yeezys if Kanye West wasn't Kanye West?
Nope. Ugly.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I have Yeezys.
Like, I get it, but there's like, it's the thing that's like, you buy Nikes for a certain percentage because they're Nikes, right? So it's like, he got so good as Kanye West, and then was like, you know what? I want to make fashion. I want to make shoes. I want to do this. And people were like, okay, because he's already like mastered the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like listening to that like concept was like, just get good at that thing and then do whatever the fuck you want, which is kind of in the same vein what this dude did. Like, he's like, I'm gonna learn this. And I don't know what his first thing was, producing or directing, and was just like, cool, I get it. I know how to produce. Now I'm trusted. People trust me to produce their films. What else can I do? I can do that? Oh, yeah, okay. And then, like, stepped aside and did that. So now he's, like, building trust in another realm. I think that's a cool way to go about it.
It's very cool. Supplementary information on that whole Kanye Yeezy thing. I don't know if you know this, but he obviously has, like, platinum records, and he's a very decorated artist, producer, musician, whatever you want to call him. But before he launched his, like, Yeezy line of clothing, The man was millions and millions and millions of dollars in debt. He had spent
True.
all of his money trying to launch this clothing line, and had spent all of his money on like the press and all the concerts and the imagery he puts and effort he puts into his concerts that he was in the negatives. But he had this dream of creating this clothing company, and he obviously wanted to use his name. And he was asking bare celebrities to be like, yo, invest in me. Like, please, like, I need the money. He even publicly said, like, I am broke right now, and I'm trying to make this happen. Who wants to invest in me? He even, like, went on an interview with Mark Zuckerberg and was like, yo, invest 10 million in me. And everyone's like, nah. Kanye, you're crazy, bro. What? You make music. Why are you making clothing?
Right.
Fuck that.
Right.
He signs a deal with Adidas, releases Yeezys on the side with Adidas, and he releases a clothing line, whatever, I can't remember what it was called, Yeezy Season. But Adidas made $4 billion
Yeah.
in the first year of selling Yeezys. $4 billion.
That's hilarious.
And Kanye alone made like $150 million in like a couple years from Adidas, from just someone fucking betting on him. So
Yeah.
isn't that fucking insane?
That is
And that
wild.
was because, like, yes, the notoriety sometimes carries on,
Yeah.
but man was focused.
Yeah.
And man had a dream and a vision, and he executed. And, you know, it's okay. He's a great example of being a jack of many trades.
Yeah,
And he's
definitely.
also a master of music.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, there's just something about the formula that's interesting to me there. It's like the focus comes first, and then you get to experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like
It's like the fruits of your labor. Doesn't mean the fruits all have to be from the same tree.
yeah.
And
And
look the same.
I just don't think it could have happened the other way around. If he just came in and was like Adidas, like, I don't think he just like, it just wouldn't have worked, you know?
I agree.
I don't think anybody would have had any trust in him if he was just some kid trying to get a shoe deal or fashion deal.
That's true.
But yeah, wild shit.
Wild shit. Speaking of shoes, maybe not shoes, more of apparel. I wanted to talk about real quick about what my thing of the week is. So the segment, the usual thing, every single week we name the one tool, thing, program, whatever it is the thing that helps us with our routine, our productivity, whatever it is, whatever we're practicing. My thing this week is a brand called CL Athletics. They're a Canadian brand. They're actually out of Montreal. And they're a running brand. They make running apparel. Hats specifically, which is like the number one thing that I wear. Mm-hmm. T-shirts, shoes, collaborations, all the things. But their whole ethos, their whole like mission, their statement is that everybody runs. It's not like everybody runs. Everybody runs.
Cool.
And once I had found that ethos out, I thought that was, or when I heard that, I thought that was such a company that had finally created a slogan that actually embodied inclusiveness.
Right. Yeah.
Like I really felt that.
Yeah.
And I've been so hard on myself my entire life about how I run and like how much I've hated it. And now I'm preparing for the marathon, as we fucking always talk about. I feel like I'm always that guy. But I love that brand and I love their products. Their hats is what I'm always wearing. Not this one. This one's from a local skate shop, Switch, back in Pickering. Shout out Switch. But it's top tier quality and they deliver. Yeah. I wish they sponsor us, but they deliver worldwide. And CL Athletics, yo, great quality. I love their stuff. I love how much it's helped me with my training program. And big shout out to CL Athletics.
Cool.
CIELE.
Support local, baby.
Support them Canadians.
Always.
What's yours, bro?
Speaking of supporting local, our mug. Honestly, nothing like a good mug, dude.
Talk about them. What's so good about this mug?
It's designed locally.
Yes. Who's the designer? Who's our designer? We gotta shout him out real quick.
So Cam, he's been on the show. Cam Harapiak made the OG logo.
Shout him out.
His Instagram is just at Cam Harap, which is HARAP.
Cam Harap.
He's a great like lettering graffiti artist, dude. Does murals and whatnot in Montreal right now, doing his thing over there.
Wow, shout out Montreal twice. Fuck.
Yeah. So we're working on a mug. We're working on a couple different things for Creative Herd, in the future. Yes. But this has just been like the getting me through my work days right now. Lessons, not consequences. Make mistakes, learn from them.
That's it. Lessons, not consequences. We'll talk about what that means more in a future episode, possibly. But yeah, be on the watch for mugs. Be on the watch for other things. Maybe we'll release other things. But in the meantime, you know where to get your creative assets. You want dust and scratches, creativeherd.ca. You want overlay title, presets, audio.
Somebody fade him out. Somebody fade him out.
Fuck. I'll cut myself off. All I'm saying is, if you want to support us, support the show, support us, creativeherd.ca. Let's be friends. Let us know. Talk to us.
How's your 3-week challenge going? Just quickly before we wrap here.
Before we wrap, it's going.
Wait, for anybody who doesn't know, we do 3-week challenges where we make stuff. Make anything every 3 weeks.
Has to be public, has to be viewable by anyone.
Yeah.
It can't be just between the two of us. Mine's okay. It's another YouTube video.
Mine's okay.
Mine is okay. It's another YouTube video. I like this one though.
Cool.
It is a lot of old footage that I haven't put out.
That's okay.
Yet, but it's okay. I am filming a little talking head, A-roll situation for it right after this. And it's about a topic that is very tender to me. I'm talking a lot about my true experience right now as a freelancer and how I'm really feeling.
Cool. Video for you. Yeah.
It's a video for me.
For future you.
For future, exactly.
I love that.
And I want, I don't care if anyone watches it, but I do want people to know, who know me, to see this video because it really does explain how I'm doing right now.
That's amazing. Cool.
And you? What's yours? You doing well?
Yeah, mine's not great. It's scheduled. Mine's scheduled already.
Wait, you made it already?
Yeah, I made it on the weekend. It's just like a 3-minute tutorial.
Oh my God.
On like Instagram stacked reels, but
bro, I haven't even put clips into a Premiere.
I also did start filming. I got a couple things on the go, so hopefully I won't be like, I'm just trying to be proactive.
True.
I took my R7 into Henry's to get it shipped off, so I just like vlogged quick of like the process through that. So hopefully I can make a video in 4 to 8 weeks when that comes back.
Sick. Cool.
And but I did think of something while we were talking about this episode. It would be cool for the challenge in the future to recreate something that we've already made. I feel like we've talked about this a bunch of times.
Like one of our old films?
Like, yeah, recreate something that you've made in the past, something that I've made in the past, and make it in your style now. How would you plagiarize yourself now?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right?
I like that.
Right? Okay.
I really like that. On that note, I like you. I don't know if I ever told you on this, but I love you. I love you, bro.
Love you, buddy.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Thanks, dude. All right, we love you. Peace out. Later.
Bye.